Sycophantic is to obsequious as recalcitrant is to unyielding, as both pairs represent synonyms. Sycophantic and obsequious both describe excessively flattering or servile behavior, while recalcitrant and unyielding both describe a stubborn resistance to authority or pressure. Luminous is to dull as pensive is to indifferent, as both pairs represent antonyms. Luminous, meaning bright or radiant, contrasts with dull, meaning lacking brightness, while pensive, meaning deeply thoughtful, contrasts with indifferent, meaning having no particular interest or concern. Tusk is to elephant as antler is to moose, as both pairs represent part-to-whole relationships. A tusk is a part of an elephant, and an antler is a part of a moose, with both being prominent features specific to these animals. Heat is to melting as pressure is to cracking, as both pairs represent cause and effect relationships. Heat causes melting, and pressure causes cracking, with cracking being a more precise effect in this context compared to alternatives like erosion or compression. Silkworm is to silk as spider is to web, as both pairs represent a source-to-product relationship, where a silkworm produces silk and a spider produces a web, with each organism creating a distinct product. Teacher is to chalk as judge is to gavel, as both pairs represent a user-to-tool relationship, where a teacher uses chalk to write on the board, and a judge uses a gavel to maintain order in the courtroom, with each tool being essential to its respective role. Debt is to payment as illness is to cure, as both pairs represent a problem to solution relationship, where debt is resolved by a payment and illness is resolved by a cure, with cure being the more precise term compared to alternatives like recovery. Doctor is to hospital as teacher is to school, as both pairs represent a profession to workplace relationship, where a doctor works in a hospital and a teacher works in a school, with each term referring to the primary workplace for the respective profession. Fishing is to lake as skiing is to mountain, as both pairs represent an action to place relationship, where fishing is typically done at a lake and skiing is typically done on a mountain, with each action being commonly associated with its respective location. Wrench is to bolt as trowel is to soil, as both pairs represent a tool-to-purpose relationship, where a wrench is used to work with a bolt and a trowel is used to work with soil, with each tool being designed for a specific task or material. Dawn is to sunrise as childhood is to adolescence, as both pairs represent a sequence or progression, where dawn leads to sunrise as the early part of the morning transitions into the full day, and childhood leads to adolescence as the early phase of life progresses into the next stage. Violin is to string as saxophone is to woodwind, as both pairs represent a categorical relationship, where a violin belongs to the string family of instruments and a saxophone belongs to the woodwind family, with each instrument classified by its method of sound production. Lion is to courage as owl is to wisdom, as both pairs represent symbolic associations, with the lion commonly symbolizing courage and the owl commonly symbolizing wisdom. Beethoven is to composer as Galileo is to astronomer, as both pairs represent a factual relationship, where Beethoven is renowned as a composer after starting his career as a pianist, and Galileo is recognized as an astronomer after working as a mathematician, physicist, and philosopher, with each representing the peak of their respective careers. Mountain is to peak as ocean is to abyss, as both pairs represent extreme points, with a mountain's peak being its highest point and the ocean's abyss referring to its deepest, bottomless part, highlighting the contrasting extremes in terrestrial and aquatic features. Here, abyss is the correct answer rather than depth, because the term abyss is more directly associated with the environment, specifically referring to great depth. On the other hand, depth is a broader term that can be associated with measurements, the environment, physical objects, and even non-physical or intangible concepts, making it too general. Spade is to garden as anvil is to forge, effectively conveys an object to place analogy. A spade is commonly used in a garden, and an anvil is typically found in a forge, where metalworking occurs. The analogy is clear, with each tool being associated with a specific location.
Feel free to message us to avail our latest Civil Service Exam Reviewer ebooks. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, CSE Learning Essentials. Thank you.